Hey everybody, welcome back to TAZS Wig Closet at Wig Studio One. Some of you may recognize what I'm wearing right now. It is a wig that I have modified since the review. It's also appeared in a lace front tutorial video. All the details coming up. So I'm not sure if you know this about me or not, but I am not a big fan of modifying wigs. I think that it's necessary in a lot of cases. I just don't have the patience for it. If I can't bring a wig out of the box and, use my hands to create and sculpt a style that's attractive and to my tastes and preferences, I just generally give up. I don't like going to work on a style. So many of my friends really enjoy, I call them gurus, they really enjoy getting to work on a style and modifying it and altering it and making it look beautiful. I just don't have the patience or the time for it. But I did a little bit of work on this style and I wanted to present it to you again because I've reviewed it once before and it may look a little bit different to you. This is Caribou by Belle Tress. It's a big, voluminous, curly, messy style. I have seen a lot of variation in the curl pattern among those who have reviewed this. So just be aware that when you receive this out of the box, you could have a different experience than me or any of the other reviewers out there. So typically what I do, just as some simple steps every single time, is I shake it out really well. I comb at the root just to waken up the fibers and flesh out the style. I pick and fluff all of the layers and then I work around the face a little bit. That's it. That's all I ever do to a wig style. And I really don't, like I said, I don't have patience to thin and trim and pluck and restyle it. I just don't. I'll tell you why I was inspired to work on this one though. There was a patch or a hunk, if you want to call it that, of fiber right at the front, just left of my parting space. And the way it was sewn in there, it was just this thick cluster of knots. It looked very odd. And I just knew I had to pluck it and around it to be able to make it look a little more natural, or I wouldn't be able to wear it off of the face. I dearly loved it. You know me, I'm all about curl and volume. This was one of the most cantankerous styles that I've ever worked with. So first of all, you've got this unusual curl pattern. So around the face, you have more of this round, softer curl, okay? And then all throughout the style, there's a mixture of a round curl pattern and then one that's more straight. So the combination of those two different curl patterns create all of this messy, piecey look. It can be very ornery. So what I found though was that the front and the side, on the sides, the front was way too heavy. It just engulfed my face and I wanted to redo that a little bit. So let me take you through the steps of what I have done to modify this style to my taste, because it's super cute, isn't it? The density is low enough. You can get some nice tucks. It's super easy to wear. It's full of fun and personality, but you might have to do a little bit of work on it to make it your own. So as I was talking about the lace front video that I did, how to make lace fronts look more natural, and I'll attach the video here for you. Where I feature this style. I had to get in there and pluck some of those heavy patches of knots along the front in order for it to look good away from the face. So that's exactly what I did. I took these tweezers, it has a very fine point on the top, and I grabbed a hold of that knot right at the base and pulled it out completely, very carefully and very gently, one at a time, and more or less every other knot or so. And I did that to create a little bit of contour right where I knew I was going to part it too. So although this is not perfect lace front, it was pretty much a disaster in the beginning. And I think it looks a ton better. And it doesn't matter if it's perfect, if it satisfies me and I'm confident enough to wear it out. That's all that matters, right? So I did a lot of plucking along that lace front to make it look a little more natural. It's also very heavily threaded there on the top, so it was hard to see down to the illusion of scalp along that monofilament part there. So I dabbed in some flesh colored eyeshadow all along that part. Doesn't that look so much better? Nice and natural looking. The average person would never know that that was not real hair growing from my scalp. That is for sure. So those are the two things that I did to make it look more natural from the front and the top. Like I said, I have these heavy, heavy sides right there at the front, and it kind of gobbled up around my face. So I needed to trim it, and I needed to thin it out just a bit, because anytime you take any more than an inch or so off of your style, you're probably going to need to retexturize the ends a little bit so it doesn't look so blunt and unnatural. So I set the wig on a block head. I used T-pins to secure it into the head, and then I trimmed about an inch off all the way around, an inch to an inch and a half. Okay, and I always use more of a vertical cutting motion instead of a straight across. Now, these things were sort of spontaneous. I didn't have the camera rolling. I was just all in my creative mode. But I have demonstrated this before in how to revive an old worn out wig by trimming it. I do have a video out there on that which shows the technique that I used. But I immediately loved a little less hair all the way around. So the next thing I did was I used my thinning shears, or my blending shears here. Okay, and I went all around those areas just to kind of thin and texturize the ends a little bit. That made it give it a nice wispy look. It doesn't look so bluntly cut. And I did that all over, including around the face. I took a little bit of volume out, thinned a little bit around the face. So I immediately liked it better. This style actually has more round volume in it than Say My Gabor Sweet Talk did, which is very round and very voluminous. This one has less permatease in it than the Sweet Talk. All of this volume is coming from the curl structure. So once I got the lace front just where I wanted it, made that mono part look a little more natural, took off a little bit of length to my taste and preference, and then gave a little texturizing to the ends just to blend it in really nicely. The only thing left to do was just to make a little more curl. So this curl pattern was just so, it was not uniform at all. It was just so chaotic. And I loved these bouncy little curls around the face, these round bouncy curls around the face. And I wanted more of them on the sides and back. So what I did was I took my hot air brush, okay, and I used it on the low heat setting. Now this is a heat friendly style, so I can use heat up to 350 degrees, but I always prefer to use the least amount of heat for the least amount of time to get my desired effect. So what I did, once again, while I still had it on the block head, I separated out pieces of hair that were a little more separated and straight. And I set about putting some softer, rounder curl in them to kind of match what I was seeing around the face. Okay? So this is the end result, and I am very, very happy with it. In this case, I felt like I had to do something with that lace front, and it led to some other things. So I just did a big old makeover for a Belle Tress Caribou. I mean, it's obvious that we kind of kept the same style. I didn't straighten it out, but I did add a little more soft curl, took down the length a little bit, trimmed up the sides, and worked on the lace front and mono part. So this video was not meant to be a tutorial for you. It was just meant to inspire you. So if you're like me and you just don't have the inclination or the patience to modify your wigs, if you've got that one that you love it, but it needs some help, this might inspire you to start working on it a little bit with some of the methods that I used here on Caribou in Butterbeer Blonde by Belle Tress. I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time on Taz's Wig Closet at Wig Studio 1.